Today, we're talking about your title report and why not reading it'll probably cost you tens of thousands of dollars, and we're gonna start that right now. Hey guys, Hans Struzyna with the Gunderman Group at Keller Luxury International coming to you with another video. Today's topic, we're talking about the title report. It's oftentimes one of the most overlooked parts of your disclosure packet, but definitely something you need to spend a little bit of time on. Most people want to focus on pest reports and home inspections and that sort of thing, but this is one of those areas that if you're not careful and you don't pay attention to it, could absolutely kill you when it comes to your costs down the road. If you get value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, because I am going to continue to put out content just like this every single week on Friday, and you're not going to want to miss it. So without any further ado, let's get into it and talk about the title report. All right, so it is boring, I have to admit. The title report is definitely a dry document. It's something that most people glaze over. They see fee simple or tenants in common and they just go, all right, I'm out of here. And, you know, admittedly, most of the time, you can probably get away with something like that because your realtor and your title agent are going to probably read this more times than you will. But it is important for you to understand exactly what you're buying and what some of the deed restrictions or easements or CC&Rs are, even if they're historical, because it can cost you an awful lot of money. So the first and probably most obvious thing you're going to see on the title report is right at one of the first or second pages, the owner's name and how they've held title. I mean, most people hold title in fee simple, and it's more or less exactly what you're going to come across almost every single time you look at a house. Sometimes if you're in a planned unit development or condominium, there may be a difference there. There also may be some estate stuff involved, but if you see something other than fee simple, make sure you talk to your title rep as well as your agent of what that means for you potentially. Then you're going to go down to the exclusions of the title insurance policy. Basically what that means is the escrow and title company are going to issue an insurance policy basically saying that no one else is going to make a claim on this house once you buy it, except for, of course, your loan. And they make these exclusions because there are certain things that they won't insure against that are just on there forever. Obviously, your property taxes almost always come first or second right in there. And then any sort of county taxes that have to happen, Mello-Roos pops up in there often. Certain cities and neighborhoods have various redevelopment fees and those sorts of things that will pop up down the list. And then eventually you'll get down to the owner's loan, their mortgage, any second notes, any private notes they have on there, that sort of thing. And that's the responsibility of your title company to obviously order those payoffs and get those cleared so that when you take title, you won't have anything there. So that's kind of the basic and boring stuff. But if you see other things on there, sort of, there are a number of exclusions that could exist that may affect the value of the property or your ability to get insurance or something like that. So there's also certain things like utility easements or a creek or a driveway easement of some kind, access easement, that will exist on there as well. They're just things that are on the title that were put on there probably a long time ago, and definitely are very hard to get off. So there are things you want to look at and read about and see who has access to your property and for what purpose. A very common one is either a sewer or a power line easement. PG&E will want to come on and be able to service their line or whatever the case is. Same thing with the municipal district. Then as you keep scrolling down, you'll find an Exhibit A, which is your legal description. It's very challenging to read, frankly, but give it a crack and make sure it basically describes the boundaries of your lot. And then as you keep scrolling down, you'll get a bunch of maps. And this is actually really important because you'll see visually where certain easements lie, where the fence lines are, if there's a driveway that cuts across, where that should be. And if what's on there is different than what you're seeing when you go walk on the property, you know you might need to go address that and look into that. Because if the fence is in the wrong place, or a driveway or a building is somewhere where it shouldn't be, then you might have an issue down the line. And this actually becomes a bigger problem when you're getting your insurance, but also when you're trying to close the loan, because the lender is going to look at this very, very specifically to make sure there's nothing that's going to affect the property and the value of it. And lastly, the thing you want to be paying attention to are the natural features, meaning creeks, rivers, underground wells, anything that kind of comes up in that world, as well as obviously streets and roadways and that sort of thing. You absolutely need to be aware of those and where your boundaries lie. And in that vein, let's just say the property is on a hillside and the house is up at the top where the road is, and then you go down the hill. You want to make sure you know, especially if you're in the Oakland or Berkeley Hills as an example, where your property ends, because you're going to be responsible for creating the defensible space in case of a wildfire and having a yearly inspection done there. So you need to know how much land you're going to have to be responsible for and clear every year to make sure that you're in compliance with something like that. Same thing on the uphill side. You know, even if it's not usable property, most people will kind of forget about it, but you're still responsible for it, and it is going to be an expense down the line if you don't look at it and figure out exactly what that means, and it's probably not going to be budgeted in at the front, and it's going to cost you. So make sure you pay attention to those kinds of things, read that title report, and look at those maps very closely before you make your offer, because it's going to mean the difference in thousands and probably tens of thousands of dollars over your ownership. And that's it. That is the quick overview of the title report. Again, it is cut and dry. It is kind of boring. It's hard to read. I get it. But if you spend 10-20 minutes just reading through it, understanding it, looking at the maps, reading the exclusions to the title insurance policy, you're going to be in a much better place and know if there's a red flag, what that actually means to you and how you can potentially deal with it. If you got some value out of this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to continue to put out weekly content just like this, and you're not going to want to miss it. So without any further ado, I'm Struzyna with the Gunderman Group at Keller Williams Luxury International, signing off for now. See you on the next one.